Windows 11 is betraying millions of its users. Across the world, users are reaching the same breaking point. Full screen ads interrupt work in the middle of tasks. File Explorer crashes the moment you click the taskbar. The Start menu freezes without warning. Forced restarts wipe out hours of unsaved work. Legitimate apps are blocked by aggressive SmartScreen warnings. Settings you deliberately turned off quietly switch themselves back on after updates. Bloatware you never asked for eats system resources. AI features are pushed into simple tools like Notepad that nobody requested. Even local accounts are locked out unless you type hidden commands during installation. None of this is accidental. This is not a bug. This is not a one-off failure. This is Windows 11 in the year 2026. And millions are finally switching to Linux and Mac because Microsoft broke the one thing an operating system should never break, and that is the user trust. Tech forums, Reddit, communities, and enterprise IT departments are erupting with complaints that paint a damning picture. Users report the operating system feels slower than Windows 10, even on identical hardware, with machines requiring frequent forced reboots to resolve unexplained crashes. The taskbar disappears randomly, leaving users with no start button or system tray. Windows Defender SmartScreen blocks sign, legitimate developer tools, and Python installers without explanation, halting workflows for programmers and researchers. Microsoft pushed full-screen pop-up advertisements telling users to buy new computers, interrupting gaming sessions and movie playback with no dismiss option. The installation process now forces Microsoft account creation, hiding local account options behind obscure command prompts that most users never discover. Updates reset privacy settings, users carefully disabled, re-enabling telemetry and diagnostic data collection without notification. The Settings app silently fails to launch after cumulative updates, leaving users unable to configure their own machines. One Reddit user captured the frustration perfectly, stating Windows 11 made them feel like they are renting their operating system rather than owning it. Another reported their 6-year-old laptop became completely unresponsive after the forced upgrade to Windows 11, only returning to normal speed after switching to Linux. Enterprise administrators describe broken workflows where attack surface reduction rules auto-delete hours of legitimate work, treating Excel macros and PowerShell automation scripts as threats. The complaints span every edition from home to enterprise. Bluetooth failures plague daily use. Core isolation and virtualization features bogged down performance even on modern hardware. XAML dependency packages fail to register after updates, causing shell components like Explorer.exe and Start menu experience. Host to crash with visible errors or fail, silently. Windows 11 24H2, the latest major update, introduced stability issues so severe that Microsoft officially acknowledged that almost all major core features are broken. The exodus to Linux and Mac is accelerating, and the reasons are crystal clear. Users cite excessive bloatware they cannot remove, with the Edge browser permanently embedded despite user preference. Privacy concerns dominate discussions as telemetry collects device performance reports, app crash data, and system configurations, sending them to Microsoft Cloud Services by default. Advertisements infiltrated the Start menu, lock screen, and even system notifications, with one ad from Microsoft Teams causing widespread File Explorer crashes. Forced updates install without user control, overriding active hours settings and restarting computers 15 minutes after installation, even when users are logged in and working. The continuous innovation model ships new features monthly, tied to mandatory security updates, meaning users cannot opt out without leaving their machines vulnerable. Controlled feature rollout makes it impossible to predict when changes will appear, as some users receive features immediately while others wait weeks despite identical update installations. Microsoft account prompts appear relentlessly after updates, with the system conveniently forgetting local account preferences and demanding cloud sign-ins to access built-in apps like the Microsoft Store. Windows 11 requires specific hardware like TPM 2.0, rendering millions of functional Windows 10 machines obsolete and triggering full-screen buy new computer advertisements. Licensing costs for home labs and small businesses add financial pressure that Linux eliminates entirely. Gaming support on Linux improved dramatically by 2021 with the Steam Deck launch, removing the final barrier for many Windows users. One user summarized the tipping point, stating that a Windows update irreparably damaged their system. They had nothing left to lose, and switching to Linux provided a cleaner, more customizable experience with zero regrets. Corporate environments report Windows 11 causes stability issues, frequent crashes, and slower boot times compared to Windows 10 on identical hardware, with users forced to reboot regularly to solve problems that never existed before. Microsoft's fixation on artificial intelligence features consumed 2025, prioritizing AI integration above quality of life and platform stability. Copilot forced its way into nearly every interface, with even Notepad receiving an unwanted Copilot button that literally nobody requested. The company appears obsessed with throwing features at the wall to see what sticks, treating Windows 11 as an experimental AI playground rather than a reliable productivity platform. This AI push feels forced and invasive, degrading the user experience as Microsoft falls over itself to position Windows 11 as a frontier for artificial intelligence. The continuous innovation model means new AI features ship monthly, with no breaks or respite, creating constant churn that prevents users from ever settling into stable workflows. Users never get a chance to breathe as the operating system relentlessly evolves beneath them, moving interface elements and introducing changes without warning. Controlled feature rollout makes the chaos worse, as AI tools randomly appear on systems after installing updates that supposedly include them, creating unpredictability that makes it impossible to prepare or train users. Features tied to mandatory security updates are forcing acceptance because using computers safely on the internet requires those patches. Users must make do with Microsoft constantly moving the deck chairs, and the fatigue is showing in mass negative feedback across tech communities. A freelance developer races against a client deadline when SmartScreen suddenly blocks their trusted Git client during a critical pull request, with cloud reputation checks timing out and hours vanishing as they troubleshoot pop-ups while the project stalls. A small business accountant during tax season faces relentless blocks on routine QuickBooks updates, locking financial closes and invoice generation exactly when clients demand reports, with shared Office PCs exposing detailed client app patterns to Microsoft telemetry without consent. A university researcher running custom Python data analysis tools for grant-funded studies watches helplessly as attack surface reduction rules flag innocent, scripts as threats, and auto-delete hours of statistical analysis, making work inaccessible without IT escalation that delays critical research timelines. A video editor finalizing a client deliverable has SmartScreen quarantine their Adobe Premiere plugin mid-render, crashing timelines as render farms wait idle, wasting expensive processing time, and missing contracted delivery dates. A home user attempting to install open-source privacy tools like LibreOffice or VPN clients encounters constant blocks that train them to click run anyway, on every warning, creating dangerous security habits when real threats eventually appear, disguised as false positives. A nonprofit deploying field tools on donated laptops during disaster response sees mass failures, when custom humanitarian apps trigger attack surface reduction, leaving aid workers unable to coordinate relief efforts in time-sensitive emergencies. An IT administrator reported 2 years of File Explorer refusing to open from the E taskbar without causing the entire screen to disappear and reappear, with the issue persisting despite trying every suggested fix, including clean boots, in place, reinstalls, and clearing caches. Another user described leaving their Windows 11 laptop running overnight, returning to find the entire desktop vanished, with the taskbar and Explorer XE crashed, requiring manual restarts that became routine rather than exceptional. These scenarios draw from thousands of real reports on Reddit, Spiceworks, Bleeping Computer, and Microsoft's own community forums, documenting a pattern where overzealous controls punish legitimate work far more than they protect against rare threats, transforming productivity tools into productivity killers that erode user trust daily. Microsoft added per site allow lists in Edge and granular attack surface reduction exclusions in Pro and Enterprise editions via Intune, with version 24H2 introducing reputation-based auto-allow after repeated user submissions and taskbar warnings with feedback buttons, and they claim to retrain false positive machine learning models using anonymized crowd data, publishing lengthy mitigation guides that acknowledge overblocking while defending core telemetry as essential for threat intelligence sharing. Enterprise customers received Windows Defender application control policies for whitelisting alongside SmartScreen, plus PowerShell logging opt-outs, while home users got buried toggles and virus threat protection with default staying aggressive. Despite these changes, real-world testing reveals blocks continue hitting signed apps as cloud reputation databases lag behind new releases by weeks. Registry fallback keys remain editable by privilege escalation exploits, meaning workflows sit protected by policy entries as fragile as factory gates with universal master codes. Intune deployments expose toggle changes centrally to IT admins, while Home Edition users face non-stop. Telemetry flows to settings to .com endpoints unless they hunt obscure menus. Microsoft added optional audit logs for attack surface reduction blocks, but core SmartScreen pings persist for users who overlook 60 buried settings. The fixes address symptoms without solving root causes, leaving users caught between security theater and genuine productivity loss. Microsoft introduced SmartScreen as a core Windows 11 security pillar, starting with its 2021 launch, expanding through updates like 22H2 and 24H2. The company markets it as intelligent protection blocking phishing sites, malicious downloads, and unknown apps using cloud-based reputation checks, verifying files against Microsoft databases in real time without constant virus scans. Integrated into Microsoft Edge, Defender, and the OS core, SmartScreen runs constantly, scanning URLs, downloads, and executables as you use your PC. It checks file hashes against Microsoft cloud services, sends metadata like file names, sizes, and device IDs for reputation scoring, and blocks anything flagged low trust, even if digitally signed. No full file upload occurs, they claim, but the reality creates seamless friction where warning pop-ups demand more info or run anyway clicks. Security researchers revealed behaviors far more intrusive than Microsoft described. SmartScreen pings Microsoft Graph servers with detailed telemetry on every blocked or scanned file, creating profiles of software usage without granular consent. Independent tests confirmed it logs app execution attempts, sends them to datamart.smartscreen.microsoft.com, and applies attack surface reduction rules blocking Office macros, PowerShell scripts, and custom tools regardless of actual safety. Experiments by Windows latest and Reddit power users tried running signed open source tools like SYS Internal Suite or Python installers on clean Windows 11 machines with SmartScreen, blocking them, citing reputation, even after manual allowance. Data flows to Microsoft via endpoints like settings, sa.com, tracking file paths, hashes, and user overrides stored locally in registry keys, accessible via group policy logs. Privacy advocates noted legitimate apps like sysdm.cpl or custom batch files get flagged, forcing workarounds that expose users to risks elsewhere. SmartScreen runs at the kernel level, blocking even admin-approved apps and sending usage data during every check, infecting corporate networks with overblocking that halts migrations. Routine updates push stricter defaults, and home users face blocks on legacy software, exposing them to false negatives elsewhere, while family-shared PCs turn parental controls into full lockdowns via SmartScreen policies. Constant blocks waste hours on legitimate work, attackers exploit bypassed warnings, and telemetry builds usage profiles for targeted ads or worse. The UK Information Commissioner's Office probed Microsoft telemetry practices tied to SmartScreen in 2024, questioning data minimization under GDPR as blocks reveal app habits without explicit opt-in. Privacy advocates like the Electronic Frontier Foundation warned it violates consent principles by phoning home on every action, collecting behavioral data that leaks or misuse could enable profiling, violating CCPA or GDPR equivalents globally. Telemetry collects device performance reports, app crashes, error messages, and system configurations like hardware specs, with Microsoft claiming data is anonymous and limited. Users can reduce sharing by adjusting Windows 11 privacy settings under Settings, Privacy and Security, Diagnostics and Feedback. But complete elimination remains difficult even with advanced methods. The system continues collecting unless users hunt obscure registry keys and group policy settings most users never find. Cybersecurity firms issued guides on attack surface reduction, overreach, while enterprises on Spiceworks forums reported mass deployment failures from excessive blocking. Scrutiny forced Microsoft to add toggle promises and updates, but enforcement lags behind rhetoric, with defaults favoring data collection over user control. Personal files, passwords, and conversations allegedly stay private, but the metadata Microsoft collects builds detailed behavioral profiles, revealing app usage patterns, work schedules, and software preferences that advertisers and threat actors could weaponize. Open Settings, Privacy and Security, Windows Security, then disable SmartScreen under App and Browser Control, and turn off all attack surface reduction rules under Ransomware Protection. For Pro or Enterprise, use Group Policy Editor at gpd.msc, navigate to Windows Defender SmartScreen, and set Configure App Install Control to Anywhere. Via Registry, create a DWARD named Enable SmartScreen and Shell at HKey Local Machine, Software Ware, Policies, Microsoft, Windows Defender SmartScreen, set to 0 and restart. Stop forced restarts by creating a No Auto Update DWARD set to 1 at HKey Local Machine, Software, Policies, Microsoft, Windows, Windows Update, AU. Toggle off SmartScreen now, or share this video with anyone hitting mysterious blocks. Comment on the steps you took so others know they are not alone. Subscribe for fact-based tech privacy investigations before the next silent feature ships. Like the video, share it across your networks, and subscribe to stay ahead of every tech power shift.